Okay, I was sitting here journaling and I got to thinking about a conversation I had with a friend of mine. And he had asked me, how do I get to know myself better? Because we've talked about how I believe that it's very important for people to get to know themselves. So it has been my experience that one of the ways that I got to know myself is by acknowledging my inner self, my inner child, and I know again, for a lot of you that when you think about my inner child, that just sounds very hippy dippy, very coachy, and but it's important because what happens is every so often this inner child, I'm just going to say that, will come out. So I'll give you an example. Have you by any chance ever seen where a grown man has a fit, almost childlike? To me, that's not the man having the conniption fit. That is the inner child using the man's body to have a fit. And that's why people say, "Oh my gosh, you're acting like a child." And again, you're not acting like a child. You're actually your inner self as a child is coming out. So to me, I feel these are aspects of your past that are trying to be acknowledged. They want to be validated somehow. And maybe in some ways they want an apology. So for me, I have had several aspects of mine as I journal, that step forward, and all of a sudden I might come across my 8-year-old self, or my 11-year-old self, or my 15-year-old self, and maybe it might even go as high as my 20-year-old self that is looking for some sort of acknowledgement. And again, I'm going to use my experience, what happened with me. I feel that my younger selves did a lot to protect me, my current self, from some of my past. So I may have mentioned this before that I don't want to say I grew up in an abusive relationship with my parents or my dad. I guess it depends on how you look at it. I'm not really ready to acknowledge that just yet, but we'll say this: he wasn't always the nicest guy. So, because of that relationship I had, that younger self of me, or younger version of me, took on a lot of took a lot of shit from my dad. And what that younger side of me did is he compartmentalized it so he could survive. So he did whatever he had to do to survive. And so as I got older, more and more layers started piling on top of that younger self of me, that younger version of me. And at some point, they are forgotten about. And there are unresolved feelings that this younger version of me still has. So every so often, this younger version of me will pop up in ways of misdirected anger or some resentment or insecurities. And this is just another way that they pop up. So what I started doing, again, I started to journal. Multiple versions of me started popping up. And it was interesting how I realized what an extraordinary person I was as a child. And of course, you put all those children together, and it makes a much more extraordinary version of me. And I feel that because of what they went through, they, well, I'll just say this. They created the best version of me that I am now. I didn't see it, but since I started seeing it, the inner children started to actually, their voices started to calm a little bit more. They weren't constantly popping up again in like emotions of misdirected anger and stuff. They seemed to be okay with once I acknowledge them, once I apologize to them, and once I realize what an extraordinary job they did as the younger versions of me. Anyway, that's what I would do. That's what I would recommend that you do. Start with one version of yourself that I think most people know, that we have one version of ourselves that keeps coming up again and again and again. Start with that person, talk to them as you're journaling, and if you're not sure what this younger version of you wants, ask them. You'd be amazed how it comes up. It's almost like when people talk about automatic writing. I think it's a psychic thing. Their hands just start writing like crazy, because that's that younger version of yourself that is trying to tell you how they are wounded, how, what they need from you now. And start with that and see if other versions of yourself come forward, and acknowledge them, love them. And you'll be amazed as to, because of that, you start to realize what an extraordinary person you are now. So anyway, I'm babbling. I just wanted to share this with you. Again, my name is Uriel Mesa, and I'm with KTSLifeCoaching.com. Thank you so much.